Hi, hello, welcome to this video. So back in September, I spent 3 beautiful weeks in Turkey and I kind of just wanted to share it with you guys. So these are the clips from the trip. I started off my trip in Bodrum, which is where my boyfriend's parents have a summer house there, and basically just swam and soaked in the sun as much as possible. Look at the little cutie patootie. I kind of wanted to take her home with me. So if you're new here, hi, hello, my name is Ev and I hope you enjoy this video. If you are just here for the yarn talk, you can skip to this little timestamp right here. If not, sit back and relax. The majority of my trip was spent in Icmeler because that is where we had a resort, and I honestly got a little bit more knitting done here on my Cumulus tee, which is taking me forever. Icmeler is right next to Marmaris, which is where I spent my time, and here I am casting on the sock from 52 Weeks of Socks. While we were in Marmaris, we really wanted to find a lovely home-cooked meal, so we found this little place in Old Marmaris, and it really didn't disappoint. So this was one of the yarn shops, and honestly it was very intimidating because they had so many different options and colors, and right next to it was actually another yarn shop with even more yarn and variety. They had so many yarns that they even had the yarn that I used for my black tank top from my Italy trip. Hi, hello. So currently we're at the resort. This trip started off in Bodrum with my boyfriend's parents. Now we are at the resort, and then later on we'll go to Istanbul. I'm currently knitting away at my little Icmeler sock. This time I've actually casted it on, which is very exciting. So this is what it looks like. And this is what my view looks like. I just wanted to take this time and talk to you guys a little bit because I feel like I'm filming a lot of non-verbal content and it would be nice to have a little bit of talking moments. So I managed to go to a little yarn shop in town today. I've tried to pick up a little bit of yarn from every store that I've been able to go to. So I got 2 skeins of some beautiful white kind of metallic yarn. So this is 85% cotton, 15% metallic, and it's kind of like a chain yarn, which is very beautiful. I don't think that this is Turkish. I think it is Russian because if you look at the language on the label, it's English and Russian. I got this yarn with the idea to, on this trip, I wanted to come home and knit another one of these. So this is the tank top that I knit in Italy, and honestly, I've been wearing it every other day, basically, every couple of days. And I want another one. So I figured if I could do it in a cute little white metallic, that would be really, really fun because this one was cotton and rayon. So that would be cotton and like a metallic thread. And I'm really interested to see what the chain braided yarn is gonna look like. However, after coming back to the hotel, I realized I actually already sent my needles over to Istanbul. The big suitcase is already in Istanbul. And because I didn't want to take my full metal needle set, I thought it was going to be too risky. So I just decided to send it already over there. So that means that I can't cast on anything new here, which is a bummer. Yet I can still work on my little Icmeler sock. So I guess that's what I'm going to do till then. And I'm knitting it in Jawol Lang in this beautiful cobalt blue. I did pick up some yarn in Marmaris, but I'm going to show you that in another part of this video because I got more in Marmaris. So the last day before we headed off to Istanbul, we decided to do a trip, the Dalian tour. Now this one allows you to go see the turtles at Turtle Beach, and they feed them, and then see the King's Tomb and also do some mud baths. Now these were the King's Tomb. The thing was, because it is low tide and because it is off season, the water started receding really quickly. So basically on the return, all of the boats got stuck, as you can see right there. We even got stuck. And the staff there told us that basically this had happened before, where the boats were stuck for the whole night and they didn't get off till the next morning, which was the last thing I wanted. Which got very scary because we had a flight the next day at noon. So it took about an hour to get every boat, maybe a little bit more, unstuck, which allowed for these beautiful shots of the sunset to be taken. But luckily we made it on the plane the next day. So I'm just gonna jump in and try to say this really quickly, but good thing I put my needles in the big suitcase and sent them with my boyfriend's parents, because my needles didn't make it through. It didn't make it through security. The guy who was working just didn't want to let me through with the needles, even though I told him I had flown Turkish Airlines like a couple of days before with the exact same needles. He kept saying, I mean, I don't speak Turkish, but he was telling my boyfriend, technically, I could stab someone with them if I wanted to, which I feel like that goes for like a lot of items. But anyways, he just kept saying they are pointy and that is it. He didn't want to budge. And then when I brought up, that I flew different airlines in different countries and that I flew with Turkish Airlines with these needles, he was just saying that other people weren't doing their jobs properly. So in the end, I had to get rid of them. And now basically I haven't been able to knit on my Cumulus T since I got back because I'm waiting for my new set of needles. But yeah, so be careful. It really depends on who you get at security and how their mood is. And if they want to kind of say no, they say no, and it is what it is. And what's really funny is on the way home, I tried once again to pass with my knitting needles and they allowed me at Istanbul airport. So that just goes to show it really depends who you get on that day. Yeah. Okay, well, back to the video. Honestly, Istanbul was such a blur. I had only planned 5 days here, 5.5, and I regret not planning more. If there's one thing I regret on this trip, it's not more days in Istanbul. It's way too big of a city. But honestly, the food was amazing. Look at all of these Turkish delights and baklava. I spent a full day at the Grand Bazaar and I didn't even see all of it. There was just too much. But I did, however, find this cute little yarn cove right next to it. It was recommended to me, and this is pretty much where I did most of my yarn purchasing. So we're just gonna take a look at that a little bit later. This has for sure been the toughest part of the video to film. All I want to do is show you guys the yarn that I picked up in Turkey and talk about what my goal is for these yarns or what I was thinking of when I picked it up. So basically my trip started off in Bodrum, as you guys saw, and I didn't pick up any yarn there. There weren't really yarn shops, but also I kind of just spent time with my boyfriend and his parents because that's where their summer house is. And yeah, so we're gonna skip to Marmaris, which is where we just had our holiday, just me and him alone together. I ended up staying in Icmeler, but The first yarn shop that I went to was in Marmaris, which is a town over. You could just take a little ferry boat there. So the first yarn that I picked up is actually a recommendation from one of you guys. In the video where I talked about, like before going to Turkey, I talked about my queue and the patterns that were there, but also like what yarns I would be searching for those specific patterns. One of you actually messaged me or commented. I don't specifically remember if it was in the DMs or if it was in the YouTube comment section, that I should try to look for this particular yarn for the Ranunculus. The Ranunculus is a sweater it's pretty old now. I think it's from 2017, the original design, and I feel like everybody's knit it and cast it on, and I want to knit it and try it myself, see if it really is that amazing of a pattern that everybody says it is. One thing that's very fun about it is that you can use lace weight to, I think, worsted. It's worsted or Aran. I don't specifically remember. It is a very flexible pattern, and I feel like that's why so many people cast on and knit it up. So the yarn that was recommended that I searched for, I ended up finding it. This is the Fibra Natura Papyrus. And I ended up getting, this is the color, oh, there's no name. I ended up getting this kind of sandy, light beige color. I actually really like the yarn. I've never knit with a yarn with this texture before. I think it's a 4-ply, but basically it's like too thick plies wrapped around with too much thinner plies, so it kind of gives you not a boucle vibe, but like a really interesting texture to the yarn. So I can't wait to see that knit up, what it's actually going to do. Another reason why I went with this yarn for the Ranunculus, which I'll be casting on soon, is because on Ravelry, I think over 40 people used this exact yarn and it looked really, really nice. I originally wanted a more yellow toned, a more yellow yarn. However, they didn't have that colorway. I needed 5 skeins because I'm going to be making the t-shirt. They only had 3 of the yellow. This yarn is 77% cotton, 23% silk. It calls for US 6, which is 4mm needles, and it runs you about 130 yards, which is 120 meters the skein. So I got 5 of these, so I can't wait to cast it on. Another yarn that I picked up from Fibra Natura. Now Fibra Natura is a yarn brand that I had never tried before, never heard of before till now, and turns out it's a yarn that's made in Turkey. Yeah, made in Turkey. So I picked up Doma. Now Doma is 100% superwash extra fine merino wool. So I picked up 2 different colors for this one. I picked up this kind of navy blue. It's very dark, so it's almost black. And then I picked up a white. Now this isn't pure white. It's kind of like a slightly creamed off white. And the reasons why I got this yarn is for a pattern, again, that was mentioned in that same video, and it was the time skip collar. I didn't want to make it in black because at the store thought, oh, black, like I knit at night mainly, I'm not going to be able to see it. So I went with a very deep navy blue because I don't know, clearly I might as well have picked black. I don't know what I was thinking. So I'm going to have a hard time knitting this. However, I think that it's going to turn up really, really nice. So I went ahead and I think I got 4 or 5 of these and 1 of these. So this is just going to be for the stripy part of that top. The skein runs 126 yards, which is 115 meters, and it's a 50-gram skein. For some reason, I feel like these skeins are pretty big for only 126 meters. So then in Icmeler, that is where my resort was, there was one yarn shop and it is owned by a local. I couldn't speak to her because she only spoke Turkish, so I learned this from my boyfriend. But turns out she's retired and loves knitting, and just to have a little bit extra cash and just for fun, she decided to open up a yarn shop with her husband. She just spends her days there knitting, and twice a week they have knitting meetups, or a bunch of knitters from the town come over and just knit all night, and they drink tea and just hang out. And I don't know why, that just sounds like the ideal situation, to be retired in a summer location and just knit and have your own little shop. So I think I had already talked about this yarn earlier in the video, but I basically got 2 of these skeins from that exact store to knit up a new tank top, another version of my black camisole that I had knit up. Honestly, switching from French to English is like messing up with my mind. And I'm trying to learn Turkish. Eesh. So this is 85% cotton and 15% metallic. I'm not going to say too much about this yarn because I have already shown it, but yes, this is what I picked up from Icmeler. Those were the 2 main stops before heading over to Istanbul, where I finished off the rest of my trip. And in Istanbul, that is when I did the most damage and bought the most quantities of yarn. A lot of these, I wasn't too sure what I wanted to knit with, but like what I wanted to work it up in. I just got really excited and just wanted to try some new things. Next to the bazaar, in this kind of like alleyway where there's like a, it's like out of the bazaar, I think it's like an 8 to 9 minute walk. There's like this square of buildings. I don't know how to call that. And it's just yarn. It's just fabrics and yarn shops. And this place was recommended to me by someone over on Instagram. And then one of my boyfriend's friends recommended me this, saying that their mom loves to shop there for yarn. So of course I had to go. This was the only place in Turkey that I managed to, in Istanbul, that I managed to squeeze in for yarn, because the rest was just sightseeing and doing a lot of historical walks. But also I feel like I did pick up a lot of yarn from there. So for now, I think I'm pretty satisfied with the yarn that I've collected. So the first thing that I picked up, because I knew going to Turkey that I was going to pick up some materials to make bags. And the first one that I got is actually Hobby Trend Natural Rafia. I think Hobby Trend is oh, it's made in Turkey. Okay, because there was 2 different options. There was Rafia from Italy or Rafia from Turkey. And because I'm in Turkey, I thought, let's pick the local brand. So this is Hobby Trend. The owner of the store said that this was more than enough to make a bag. It's 250 meters and it is 150 grams. And then it says plus or minus 5. So I guess this is like plus or minus 5 grams. So I picked up 2 in this kind of brown tone. I don't know what you call this. Yellow brown. I'm not 100% sure what I'm gonna knit with this. I might make like a small little bag. I know Petite Knit has a couple options to work up small bags with raffia, because it's like a paper. I've never worked with raffia, so I don't know how well it holds up. There was an option that was like shiny, and he did say that that one was more durable, but I didn't like the shine it had to it. I like this matte paper look. I also picked up a little like magnetic, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. He did give me screws to like screw the fabric in. I don't really know how that works actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I don't know. I'm gonna figure out something. I'm gonna look over on Ravelry to get some inspiration, and then I might just try and cast something on and knit it up and go with that. This is why I'm saying I got very inspired to knit bags or crochet bags. I don't crochet, but maybe this is what is gonna get me to crochet bags. They had a lot of different options for especially these knobs. I really like just the raw wood, and I thought that this would be really, really cute. Then with the same idea of a bag in mind and in the same brand, I picked up from a different store, Hobby Trend Macrame Cotton. So this is 240 meters and it is 100% recycled cotton. Now with this one, I picked up a couple of these actually, and what I think I'm gonna be knitting up is sort of, I think it was Petite Knit's French Market bag. I saw people do it in Ravelry and I think it's going to be really fun. I've never knit with a macrame cotton. I've never worked with a yarn with this texture. So we're going to see if it knits up really, really well. But that is why I got it. I got it in this like sandy sage color. And yeah, I have a couple of these. So hopefully that should be enough. So then I also saw this bag and I might try and recreate it. I thought the stitch was really interesting and I basically picked up the exact same attachments, I went in this little green. I got really carried away with all these bags because each store that I was walking in had completely different bags knit and crocheted, and I was just like, I'm gonna make them all. Now I saw some girl walk around with this and I thought that this was a super fun open enclosure. Again, I don't know what bag I'm gonna make with this, but I thought it was really fun. I went ahead and I picked up an exact matching strap for it. And then I thought it would be fun to have the option to have a bottom for that bag. I picked up 3 different bases. 2 of them have like little studs at the bottom so that your bag, when it lays down, it doesn't lay directly on the base. And then one of them is a oval. Now this is a super fun little kit to make your very own little wallet. So it has the card inserts here. So there's this piece of fabric here that you can, once the fabric is knit up and attached to your wallet, you can just attach this here and then have an open and close if you want. And then there's like a little clip to hang on. So I thought it would be really fun to knit my own little wallet and have my own handmade knit wallet with a leather lining. And then I have this beautiful gold kind of chain strap. It's very close chain knit. This is the last piece of bag material that I bought. So then to go with this gold chain, I picked up this fiery red. Honestly, I think that these two are going to be beautiful together. So I believe that this is linen mixed with something else to give it that shine. That's what I understood. Throughout the ball, it looks like it's 2 strands together. I thought it would be 1, but I'm realizing, yeah, it's just 2 strands. So this was like 50 cents. Like this was like barely anything. I think each skein was like 10 Turkish liras. So I picked up 5 just to, don't even know how many grams these are. I just saw the red and was like, yes. And yeah. One of my favorite spots in the little bazaar corner was this old man who had a bunch of these giant cones. And what he does is he takes the fibers, many different fibers, and kind of cakes it up together so that you can knit or crochet like different pillows, different bags, basically whatever you want, but it is just like a bunch of different fibers together. And the first one that caught my eye is this one. So this is kind of what he creates with it. So it's like a weird little egg. Now they sold these by the grams, so I don't know how many yards are in here. He said that this size is more than enough to make a bag about like my Coach bag, about like this big. So he said that this was more than enough for that. And as you can see, this is pretty thick. So the whole ball is these kind of strands. So in here, there are 2 different strands of boucled wool, a green and a beige, and then there's 3 different strands of acrylic, 1 strand of linen, and a strand of, I don't know what, probably another acrylic. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to knit up a swatch and see what kind of fabric it makes up. This was also like 10 Turkish lira, so that's why I went ahead and got it, even though I don't know what the fiber content is. And then I got this one. This was also really, really cheap. Now this one is a lot bigger and I absolutely love these colors. So this one is about like, I think this is 2 different kinds of like cotton acrylic boucles right here, a silky kind of pink, and then this cotton brown. So this one, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna maybe make a bag or a pillow, or maybe I could make a rug. Honestly, this cake is insane. I don't know, it was just so much fun. So I got it. I don't know what I'm going to be knitting with this. I don't. I just got so excited in that store and I wanted to take so much home with me. Even though I don't 100% know what these fiber contents are, he also doesn't know because he just like kind of, he knows on the cone, but once it's caked up into these, he's not going to remember exactly all of his content. And then I, of course, picked up one of the cones. So this is a wool and... what was it? I think it's wool and silk. Now I don't know what kind of wool this is. This was just, yeah. So I thought that this was a beautiful color. It's kind of green and orange. So I picked up a cone. I don't know exactly how many yards this is. What I might do is take my nitty knotty and measure out 100 yards, weigh that, and then weigh the cone to figure out how much yarn I have of this, and then I can figure out something to do with it. Honestly, that big one, I feel like could make a nice rug. Would I be insane to knit a rug? Finally, the last yarn that I picked up is Feza hand-dyed yarn. It is 100% wool. I picked up 2 skeins of it. It is this beautiful green. So this is yarn, is this Turkish? Lütfen için. Yes, this is Turkish. Lütfen is please in Turkish. So it is super fine wool, 100% superwash merino wool, and I got it in this beautiful kind of like apple green. I had never heard of Feza, but I just loved the beautiful kind of green. It might look a little bit more yellow on camera, but it's very apple green, especially this side. So I got 2 of these in hopes to knit up a tank top. Now, I'm not 100% sure which one from my queue or from my Ravelry liked list I will knit up. I think this one might wait till next spring because right now I really want to get into fall knits and winter knits. I was going to say summer, but that's done. Then I did also, because in Italy I had picked up the Positano bag. I kind of wanted a bag from Turkey for a project bag, so I picked up this one with the eye on it and different kind of artsy version of the eye. I thought that it was really fun and cool. They sell these bags in pretty much every single souvenir shop, so it's nothing like too unique, but I thought that the size was perfect. So yeah. So that kind of sums up all of the yarn that I picked up in Turkey and my trip. I had a lot of fun. This was my very first big trip of this sort. I've never taken 3 weeks off from work before. I've never been to Turkey before. So this was a lot of firsts. I had a lot of fun. Hopefully trips like this can happen again in the future. And right now I kind of just want to get to knitting. So maybe I might cast something on and just get into the fall knitting. So I hope you guys are having a lovely, beautiful day. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This probably is going to be a little bit of a long one, but nonetheless, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. And thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.